We are learning more about a recently published recording of a phone call between President Donald Trump and then Speaker of the House, David Ralston.
That's right. The New York Times publishing this call that took place just a few months after the November 2020 election. In it, President Trump asked Ralston, a fellow Republican, to convene a special session of the Georgia legislature, a move that could have opened the door to efforts to reverse the results of the Georgia election. Here's part of that recording as published by the New York Times.
You do it to uncover fraud. You could say for transparency and to uncover fraud, possible fraud. So who's going to stop you for that? You know, it's like
a federal judge, possibly.
Yeah, so the House Speaker said on the call his team was evaluating their options, but ultimately never called for that special session.
Ralston died in 2022, but there were others in his office who were listening in to that conversation. One of them was his chief of staff, Spiro Amburn, who sat down with our Zach Merchant today.
Yeah, and look, this is a conversation that we knew had occurred, but we've never, up until this point, actually heard it with our own ears. And we got to speak today with Spiro Amburn. He said it was a high-pressure moment for the Speaker and his staff. Amburn was listening into that call as it happened, and in our conversation today, he shed more light on why the Speaker decided to not try to convene a special session. Now, according to Amburn, they determined the only paths to start that special session would be if Governor Brian Kemp called for one, which he said he was not going to do, or with a 3/5 vote of the House, which they believe they did not have the votes to accomplish. In other words, Ralston's team felt that they had no legal path to do it.
You know, Speaker Ralston being the, deliberative person that he was, listened to the president. It was a cordial conversation. He agreed to look into the issue. No promises were made, but of course it was determined that feasibly, there was simply no way to call a special session without that 3/5 majority.
Now, you remember, if you were in Georgia following that 2020 election, it was a tense moment in our state and our country's politics. That decision by Speaker Ralston, it was celebrated by some, it was condemned by others. Coming up tonight at 6, we ask Amburn what his message would be to members of his own party that wanted the Speaker to take a different path. Faith?
That's right. Thank you so much for that, Zach. And you can see more of this interview this Sunday morning on the Georgia Vote, airing right here on 11 Alive and on 11 Alive Plus at 11 a.m.